Malik Thompson had dedicated years of his life to the restaurant. Starting as a dishwasher and working his way up to head chef, he'd proven his skill and dedication time and again. Despite his natural talent in the kitchen, he faced more hurdles than most due to his skin color. Malik's success wasn't just because of his hard work, it was his ability to create dishes that customers came back for, making the restaurant one of the best in town. But then came the day when things took an unexpected turn. Malik's boss, Thomas Weaver, was an old-school restaurateur with outdated ideas and an ego that couldn't handle Malik's rising popularity. Thomas had always treated Malik coldly, rarely acknowledging his success and only seeing him as an employee rather than a crucial part of the restaurant's success. Malik could sense tension growing, but brushed it off, focusing on his love for cooking. One afternoon, Malik was in the middle of preparing for a busy evening when Thomas summoned him to the office. It was sudden, and Malik wasn't prepared for what was about to happen. "Malik," Thomas said, his voice flat and unyielding, "we're going to have to let you go. It's not working out." Stunned, Malik tried to process what he just heard. He'd been giving his heart and soul to the restaurant, and now he was being dismissed without reason. The shock slowly morphed into anger, but Malik kept his calm. "Can you explain why, Thomas?" "I thought things were going well." Thomas shifted uncomfortably. "It's just, we're looking for someone who fits the image we want to project. We're moving in a different direction." The vague, hollow response left Malik speechless. He knew it was a coded way of saying he no longer fit in, despite the restaurant thriving because of his efforts. Rather than argue, Malik decided to take the high road. He stood up, removed his apron, and offered a short nod. "Thank you for the opportunity," he said, his voice steady despite the anger burning within. As Malik left the restaurant, he couldn't shake the feeling of betrayal. He walked aimlessly for hours, wondering what he would do next. The kitchen had been his life, his passion, and now it felt like it had been snatched away. But Malik wasn't one to wallow in self-pity. That night, he made a promise to himself. He would come back stronger. He would show the world what he was truly capable of. Over the next 6 months, Malik threw himself into creating something of his own. He didn't have much money, but he had a vision and a reputation that people remembered. He started small, hosting pop-up events and catering for private gatherings. His food was a hit, and word began to spread. Before long, he had a loyal customer base who admired his talent and appreciated his story. Then one day he received a message from a local investor who had heard about Malik's story and his talent in the kitchen. They met for coffee, and the investor was instantly impressed with Malik's vision and passion. Within weeks, Malik had secured the funding he needed to open his very own restaurant. It was a dream come true, and Malik poured everything he had into it. The opening night was packed, with people eager to taste Malik's unique flavors. His restaurant became the talk of the town, praised for its atmosphere, its warmth, and most importantly, its mouth-watering dishes. Malik's success was undeniable, and his restaurant soon became one of the most popular dining spots in the city. One evening, as Malik's restaurant buzzed with activity, a familiar face walked in. It was Thomas, looking as smug as ever, though a hint of curiosity shone in his eyes. Malik noticed him right away but chose not to acknowledge him. He wanted to keep his composure, even though seeing his former boss was a stark reminder of how he'd been treated. Thomas approached Malik, who was busy overseeing the kitchen staff. "Malik," he said, a forced smile stretching across his face. "Quite the place you've got here." Malik met his gaze calmly. "Thank you, Thomas. We've worked hard to build something special." Thomas chuckled, his tone condescending. "I see that, but you know, running a restaurant is tough work. I hope you're prepared for the challenges." Malik kept his cool, refusing to let Thomas get under his skin. "I know what it takes, Thomas. I've learned from the best and from my mistakes." The night went on, and Malik's restaurant continued to thrive, while Thomas's thinly veiled attempts at rattling him fell flat. When Thomas finally left, Malik felt an overwhelming sense of pride. He had built something on his own, and no one could take that from him. A few months later, news broke that Thomas's restaurant was struggling. Malik's success had drawn a lot of attention, and Thomas's establishment was no longer the go-to spot in town. More and more customers were flocking to Malik's restaurant, preferring the fresh, innovative dishes and the welcoming atmosphere he'd cultivated. It wasn't long before Thomas reached out to Malik once more, but this time his tone was far different. He requested a meeting, expressing admiration for Malik's success and admitting that his own business was failing. Against his better judgment, Malik agreed to meet, more out of curiosity than anything else. When they sat down, Thomas's confidence was visibly shattered. He looked tired and desperate, his bravado replaced by humility. "Malik," he began, struggling to find the right words. I, I may have misjudged you. I didn't see your potential, and I'm paying the price now." Malik listened patiently, feeling a sense of satisfaction at seeing Thomas humbled. But he wasn't interested in rubbing it in. He had moved on, and his success spoke for itself. "It's all right, Thomas," he said calmly. "Sometimes people don't see what's right in front of them, but I've learned that setbacks can lead to greater things." Thomas nodded, his expression one of regret and respect. "I guess I had to learn that the hard way. I wish you the best, Malik. You've earned everything you have." With that, Thomas left, leaving Malik with a profound sense of closure. The encounter reminded him of how far he had come and how his journey had only strengthened his resolve. Malik continued to thrive, his restaurant becoming a symbol of resilience and the power of self-belief.